Got very busy. Good morning. Ah, a lively bunch today. How are y'all doing? Oh, good. Oh, I love this. I've got like 2 minutes. How's it going? Good. Good to see you all. We're getting ready for the long weekend, yeah? Yeah. Coming right up. The beginning of summer, right? This sort of the unofficial or the official. Is it official? No, it's unofficial. It's unofficial. Whatever it is, we'll take it. Yes, it's supposed to be a nice weekend, so that's a good thing. So thanks for being here this morning. Good to see all these faces. So why don't you come right up to the front edge of your chair? If you have your shoes on, you want to take them off. Now's a good time to do that. And then press down into your feet. Press down into your heels and into the balls of your feet. So y'all know where the balls of your feet are? Kind of right here, where before the toes sprout out of your foot, right? So those are your metatarsal joints. All right, so press right down into that. And then lift up all your toes. And notice what it feels like to have all your toes kind of lifted up. Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel a little crampy? Does it feel a little odd? And then place them all down on the floor. Take a couple of breaths. Just feel your feet as they're making contact with the floor. And before we go any farther, I just want to make sure everybody's cell phone is off. So just give a quick check. If you're thinking, not sure, just give it a quick little check there to make sure. So if you're not checking your cell phone, pay attention to your feet. Pay attention to your breath. What's happening with your breath this morning? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it shallow or deep? Is this the first time you've noticed your breath at all this morning? It's been going on, right? It's been going on, but you just haven't been paying much attention to it, right? Well, if it wasn't working, you wouldn't have woken up, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is essential, right? So it's the function, it is the one function in your body that is both autonomic and under your conscious control. So you'll breathe whether you know it or not, but then you can shift your breathing consciously, and that can change your state. We talk about this a lot in yoga class, right? You can shift your state from high anxiety to low. You can shift your state from low energy to higher energy, depending on how you shift your breathing. So breath is a really powerful tool. So again, just kind of noticing what's happening with your breath this morning. And if it's comfortable to close your eyes, I'm going to ask you to do that now, because it's often easier to focus on what's happening in your own body when that visual stimulus is gone. So breathing in and out through your nose is ideal, because your nose, your nasal passages, sets the temperature and filters the air before it gets into your lungs. And the lungs kind of rely on that. The lungs are a very tender tissue. So when we breathe through the mouth, we miss that filtering and that temperature control opportunity that the nasal passages, that nasal breathing provides. We're also able to exchange the two major gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, more easily when we breathe in and out through the nose. So now shift your breathing so that you're inhaling really deeply, feeling your belly expand, and as you exhale, feel your belly gently contract. You might need to shift your physical position, especially if you're kind of hunched over a little bit or you're leaning forward a little bit. It might be a little easier to feel what's happening in your belly if you sit with your shoulders above your hips, with your head just sort of perched right on top of your shoulders. So breathing in deeply, breathing out deeply. Let's see if we can add a count to the breathing. So in your head, as you breathe in, count to 4 really slowly. And the same thing when you breathe out, count to 4 really slowly in your head. And notice if counting is easier on the inhale or on the exhale and what you're counting to. So let's count to 3 or 4 on the inhalations and 3 or 4 on the exhalations. If you feel like you're running out of breath, especially on the exhalation, just make it 3. If you feel like you've got a little room to spare, make it 4. So there's no right or wrong. It's sort of an arbitrary number. And as you continue to breathe in and out, counting to either 3 or 4 on the inhalations and exhalations, notice the little pause between inhale and exhale and the little pause between exhale and inhale. And we're going to expand that pause to a count of 3 or 4, or those pauses, both of them. So just to kind of recap, you're breathing in to a count of 3 or 4, you're holding or pausing for a count of 3 or 4. Then you're breathing out for a count of 3 or 4, pausing again for 3 or 4. So we're just going inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and inhale again. This is the box breath. This is what's known as the box breath. So if you picture a square box, right? So the inhalation side is the same length as the holding of your inhaled breath. And that side is the same length as your exhale side. And that side is the same length as your hold on your exhale. And for people who are really visual, it can be helpful to visualize the breathing as a box. And now you might be noticing that it's a little harder to hold your breath for the same count. And just notice what that's like. So if you need to bump the count down a little bit, go ahead and do that. And then whenever you're ready, you can let go of that box breathing and just return to your natural breath, letting the air move in and out. Notice if it feels a little different or if there's just a different awareness. Let's take a full deep breath in together and let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes gently open. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down a couple of times. Noticing shoulder movement this morning. What do your shoulders feel like this morning? Are they tight? Are they generally loose? Are they one works differently than the other? And then reverse the direction. Roll the shoulders the other way. Good. And then bring both shoulders up to your ears. So squeeze your shoulders up as high as you can and then drop them really quickly. And then we'll do that again. So keep breathing as you're doing this. Squeeze, 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 and then drop really quickly. And last time we're going to bring the shoulders up. Keep breathing. Squeeze, 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 and drop really quickly. Good. Let's take that right arm and we're just going to start to circle with the elbow a little bit. So we got the shoulder movement kind of opening things up a little. Now if you're having some issue with your shoulder or your elbow or your neck this morning, just do the best you can. Find the range of movement that's available in that shoulder, right? So that's all we really want to do, is find out what's available. And are you moving quickly or slowly? Is it a round movement or are there kind of flat spots as you go around? So if you've got an issue with your shoulder, you might notice, oh, I get to here and then it's a little bit of a flat spot. And then I go around. And then change the direction of your circles. So circle the other way. Breathe in, breathe out, in case I didn't say that. Keep going with the breathing. Good, and then let's take that elbow and we'll make a figure 8. Right, so see if you can make a nice big figure 8. So bigger on the bottom and smaller on the top. That's how the 8s go, if I remember correctly. And then we'll reverse the direction of the 8. So I got a little different 8 going on here. Good. Okay, and then let's keep the elbow lifted and we're going to bring it across the body to the left as far as you can, and then we're going to bring it behind the body as far as you can without twisting your body, right? So this is all movement at the shoulder. Now your hands can be really relaxed. You want to have it as close to your shoulder as you can get it, so maybe put your hand on your shoulder if that feels okay, or just let it sit in front of your shoulder. Yeah, and breathing in and breathing out. So notice which movement feels a little easier for you, which movement is a little more fluid. Good. And then let's circle around just one more time, nice big circle, and then let that hand come down to the lap. Close your eyes for a moment, and just notice if your right shoulder feels a little lower than your left shoulder now. Notice if you can feel a little difference in there in the space between your ear, your right ear, and your shoulder top. And maybe from your neck out to the edge of your shoulder feels longer or lower. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Eyes can open, and then we'll take the other elbow and we'll make some circles there. So now on the left side. So again, just kind of exploring. And if you've got some issue going on in this shoulder, be gentle with it. Just notice. And then just kind of ask yourself, what does this movement feel like? Is it round and smooth? Are there flat spots? Are there places where it just doesn't feel like it wants to go there this morning? Breathing in, breathing out, so the breath is also kind of round and smooth. And then at some point we'll kind of switch the direction, going up and around the other way. So we all have a way we like to move the shoulder and move the elbow, like sort of our default, and then we have a different way that challenges us a little bit. And now let's take that and make a figure 8. Right, so make a nice big figure 8. So the left hand is relaxed and it's kind of hanging out near your left shoulder. Right, you can have your fingers up or your hand resting on your shoulder. If that doesn't work, you can just kind of have the hand hanging out there. And at some point, switch the direction of your 8s, right? Good, so nice and slow. So the slower you go, the more you can kind of have good penmanship over here, right? If we're writing with this arm, right? So fast is messy penmanship. Okay, and then bringing that elbow up, and again, having the hand just really close to the shoulder here, we're going to bring the elbow over to the right and then back to the left. And try not to twist your body. We're actually just really working on the shoulder joint itself, right? So if having your hand up here feels a little crampy or a little uncomfortable, you can bring it across a little bit, but just try not to bring your hand like way across your body. So breathing in, breathing out. Good. One more time. And then we're going to just finish with a nice big circle. Bring that hand back down to the lap. Close your eyes again. Take a breath in and out. And notice if that shoulder feels a little bit lower now as well. So now we've maybe got a little more space between the ears and the shoulder tops, a little more space, or a little more length rather, from the neck to the outside edge of the shoulders. Take a deep breath in, let it out with a sigh. Excellent. Let your eyes gently open, and we're going to shift right down into the lower leg now. So coming down with your right leg extended, if you want to sit right up close to the edge of your chair, that's a little bit easier. We're simply going to start by pointing and flexing the foot. Right? So we're moving at the ankle right now. So just notice what it feels like to move your ankle this morning without bearing weight, right? So you all moved your ankles this morning because you had to walk in to get here. So you're moving your ankles, but now we're moving it without any weight bearing. And then circle around. Yeah, and breathe as you're doing this. And reverse direction. Good, and then we'll go right to the other side. So bring that foot to the floor, extend the other leg. Right, so extend it out nice, really firm up the muscles here in the thigh, and then we'll start by pointing and flexing the foot. Right? Ooh, got some good snappy ankles out there. Good. Yeah, little tendon. You got some tendons that run across your ankle, and they can tend to snap a little bit if you've got tightness in your lower legs. Anybody have tightness in the lower legs? Get leg cramps or foot cramps at night? Yeah, that's tightness in the lower legs. And then circle around. It's a nice little thing to do at the end of the day for your ankles and your feet. I especially like to do this upside down. So have your feet up in the air, right? Maybe not all the way upside down. We can skip that one, yeah. So if you lie on your bed and just bring your feet up in the air and do this, that's a really nice little way to get, that's upside down, kind of, right? Yeah. And then we'll bring that foot down to the floor. Good. Okay, so let's come up on the toes. So kind of come way up on the toes, and then bring the heels down and lift your toes up. So come up on your toes. So we're lifting the heels, and then we're lifting the toes. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. So notice where your feet are relative to your knees. So are your feet way out here? Or are your feet way back here? Can you have your feet somewhere approximately underneath your knees? All right. Okay, so coming up and coming down. Good. Couple more of these. When you come up, I want you to really squeeze the muscles in the backs of your lower legs. So come up like you're trying to get like another 1/2 inch higher with your heel. And then let's do the same thing with the toes. So lift up like you can get another 1/2 inch higher with your toes. We'll do that a couple more times. So come up and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the muscles in the backs of the legs, and then come up with the toes and squeeze the muscles here in the front of the legs. Couple more times. Good. So just getting a little mobility there in the feet. Excellent. And then come back to sort of flat feet. Now come on to the outside edges of your feet and lift the inside edges of your feet. And then come on to the inside edges of your feet and lift the outside. You can let your knees move a little bit, but try not to let your knees do all the work. In other words, try not to let your legs do all the work. So we want to do the movement at the ankles if we can. Right? So how much ankle mobility do you have? So let's try it this way. Put your hands on your knees. Try and hold your knees there without letting your knees move. And now come on to the outside edge of your feet and the inside edge of your feet. Right, so there might be a little bit of movement, that's okay, but not a lot of movement. All getting that? Yeah. So is it easier to go on the outside edges? Is it easier to go on the inside edges? Yeah, right? Isn't that interesting? I love that. Okay, so now go on the inside edge of your right foot and the outside edge of your left foot. Right? And then go on the outside edge of your right foot, inside edge of your left foot. And back and forth, right? So we're going on the inside edge of one and the outside edge of the other. And if you're not sure, look down at your feet, right? What's happening down there? What's going on? Couple more of these. Good. And then come back sort of to that central position. Okay, so now we're going to use heels and toes, and we're going to do this movement of the feet out and then in. Right? So out, and really move at the ankles, right? As best you can. So look down there. We don't have to do it fast, right? We want to do it good. And maybe one ankle works differently than the other. Maybe one leg in general works differently than the other. And how often do you do this movement with your ankles? Not very often, right? It's another great one to do. So, we're working all of the muscles and tendons around the ankles, and we're getting a little more space in there for nerves, for blood vessels. So it may seem kind of silly, but these warm-ups are so important, not only for your physical structures, but for your nervous system as well. Because again, how often do you do this movement? The brain is kind of getting a new little routine here, right? Okay, so now feet come together. Okay, hold on to your chair. All right, we're gonna do that what do I want to call that? Sort of the in and out movement over to the right, and then we're gonna go to the left. So you're holding on to your chair so you don't land on the floor. Yeah? So it's not a race. Yeah. We want to do as much as we can at the ankles. Are you breathing? No. Okay. So this would be a good time to take a breath or two. Your legs are tired already and we haven't even gotten above the ankles. Right? Holy smokes. There's so much to do here. All right. How about when we come back to center, wherever you're headed, we'll kind of stay there. Put your hands on your lap, close your eyes, take a couple of breaths in and out. Oh, notice those feet and ankles now, right? They should be singing to you. Yeah, they're saying, wow, there's all this fun stuff that you never let me do. And here we are. Take a couple breaths. Feel that connection of your feet to the floor. Notice if you're more aware of the sensation of the floor underneath your feet. And then you can let your eyes gently open. Good. Okay, we're going to move back up to the upper body. So we're going to ping pong a little bit today, if that's okay with you guys. So bring your arms down by your sides. You're going to keep your elbows tucked in nice and close. And we're just going to bring the hands up and tap the shoulders, right? So breathing in and breathing out. Really slow movement. Now notice when you're doing this, what muscles does it feel like you're using? Right? So if you can go inside your body, as you're bending your elbows, where does it feel like the most work is being done? Right? And then make some light fists here, right? Like you're holding a little weight, and you're just going to come up, and when you get to the top here where your hands come up to your shoulders, squeeze these muscles right here, your biceps muscles. Those are your Popeye muscles. And then as you lower down, imagine you're lowering down really, really slowly, a heavy weight. So see if you can keep these muscles really firm. So we're going to continue to do this. So slowly lifting up, squeezing the biceps muscles. Again, those are the muscles right here in the upper part of the arm. And lowering down. So very slowly coming up and going down. Good. How about one more time? And then all the way down. Good. Now you're going to keep your weights in your hands. We're going to bring the arms out to the sides, a little below shoulder height, right? So your fists are kind of facing up. And again, focusing on these muscles here, we're going to bend the elbows, bring the hands to the shoulders, and give those muscles a squeeze, and then extend. Good. Just a couple more of these. So we're getting some strength here in the muscles. Even without using weights, we can get strength here in the muscles. Good. And one more time. We're going to hold when we get to the shoulder, right? So holding in here. Now take the elbows and bring them behind you. So your hands are still up by your shoulders, but your elbows are back here like chicken wings, right? So with your chicken wings back there, we're going to extend the arms back, and then bend the elbow and bring the hands forward. So you can see my upper arm isn't moving, right? My upper arm is lifted as high as I can. Try to avoid having your neck forward like this. So you want to have your head right above your shoulders. Excuse me. Good, a couple more breaths. So we're working the muscles in the backs of the arms now, the triceps muscles. So it's the opposite of these muscles. It's these muscles back here. So the next time that you extend your arms behind you, we're going to hold there. And then we're just going to lift and lower a little, like a little flutter. Right? So like a little flutter. Keep breathing. Good. Try not to bring your your chin forward and strain your neck. So keep your chin tucked in a little bit. Good. Keep breathing. And then we're going to sweep the arms forward, come all the way up overhead. So you still got your weights in your hands, right? And now keeping your upper arms where they are, we're going to bend the elbows and see if you can bring your fists behind your head. And then go up. And when you go up, really squeeze and extend the arms. And then bend and come down. And squeeze and extend the arms. Breathe in, breathe out. So we're doing a little a little ghost weightlifting this morning, right? So we've got like these dumbbells in our hands and we're lifting. And the next time that your elbows are halfway bent, so you're halfway there, you're going to hold and breathe. Good. 2 more breaths if you can. Relax your neck and your jaw. Squeeze these muscles right there, right in the back of the arm, right? These are the muscles that keep waving, right? You want to get those so that they're nice and firm. And then we're going to extend the arms up. Oh, reach, reach, reach. And then bring your hands down to your lap. Close your eyes, breath in and out. And notice your upper arms and your elbows and your shoulders a little bit. So noticing the muscles in the front of the upper arm and the back of the upper arm. They work together. Let your eyes gently open. Okay, we're going to ping pong down to the lower part of the body again. We're going to work on the knees a little bit. So sitting fairly close to the front edge of your chair, we're just going to bend and extend the right knee. Just bend and extend. Now you can do this with your foot on the floor. You can tap your foot. You can slide your foot, or you can keep it lifted. So just explore. We're just exploring the range of movement in this knee, right? So can you straighten your knee completely? Like, does your leg get nice and straight when you engage these muscles? And when you bend, how far under your chair can your heel go, right? And there's no right or wrong or measurement that we need to meet. It's just what is. So what is? And then we're just going to put that foot down and then go to the other side. And same thing, just a little inquiry here as we bend and extend, right? Bending and extending. Now how straight can your leg get? How far under your chair can your heel get when you bend? Good. Is this knee the same as the other knee, right? So let's go back to the first knee again. So bring that foot to the floor. We're going to go to the other side one more time, just kind of bending and extending. And what's happening here? And then this foot comes back to the floor, back to the left side again, just kind of bending and extending, and just asking that question of your knee again. What's happening here? Okay, and then that foot comes down to the floor. So we're going to take the right leg now and extend it out in front with the heel on the floor. So when we extend the leg, these muscles up here in the top part and the front part of the thigh, these are your quadriceps muscles. We talk about this quite a bit. Your quadriceps muscles come down from your upper leg and from your hip, and they insert into the lower leg. They insert down here, right, underneath your knee. And the reason they do that is because they're responsible for bending and they're responsible for extending the knee. But their mechanism works in bending and extending because your kneecap floats in this tendon here, right? So the kneecap floats in the tendon. The way to strengthen your knees is to strengthen these muscles in the top part of the leg. So as your heel is in the floor, I'm going to ask you to squeeze these muscles really strong here in that upper thigh. Sitting up nice and tall, you can bring your hands alongside your body. This helps with your low back to provide you a little bit of support. Pull your belly in a little bit, and then we're just going to lift and lower the heel a bit here, right? So you don't have to lift too far. So what we don't want is for the body to be moving forward and backward, right? We want to have just the lift happening in this leg. You should be feeling it in the thigh. So can everybody say yes, that that's true? Yeah? Okay, good. Is anybody feeling it in their neck? No. Good. That's the right answer. Okay. Sometimes we use other muscles when the muscles that we're targeting, when they're a little bit weak, we'll use other muscles. And believe it or not, we do use our neck muscles to lift things that they're not meant to lift. So the next time that you lift that leg, can you hold it there and breathe and really squeeze these muscles? Really squeeze these quadriceps muscles. Think about how strong they're getting holding your leg up right now. Yeah. They're on fire, yes. Yes, they should be maybe shaking a little, burning a little. Yeah, everybody's doing okay? How's the breathing going through all this? So it gets a little harder, yeah? Yeah, well, the more stressed we get, the harder it is to breathe, right? And so this isn't maybe, this isn't a stress like going to the doctor, but this is a stress of your muscles, right? So this is a stress of your physical body. Yeah, and you're all saying, will you stop talking? Just can we be done? All right, can you take 3? Count of 3 to lower it down? Just slow, slow, slow. There's 2. And there's 3. Holy moly, right? The fire's out. Yeah, just give the thigh muscles a little bit of a rub here. Yeah. These muscles are so important, you guys, for maintaining your mobility, right? We need these muscles for just about everything we do that requires mobility. Getting on and off a chair, in and out of a car, going up and down stairs. And going downstairs, by the way, is harder than going upstairs. So we can talk about that another time. So let's extend the left leg, the other right leg. So we have that leg extended, right? And again, just kind of appreciating the anatomy here on this side. So we have the muscles here in the front of this thigh. They go from the hip all the way down to below the knee, right? So those muscles, they're responsible for bending your knee. They're responsible for bringing your knee up toward your chest. So they have a couple of responsibilities. And your kneecap floats in that tendon. And do you know your kneecap doesn't fully form until you're about 2? Did you know that? It's pretty much a little jelly disc until then. Yeah. You know what helps the kneecap form? Crawling. Yeah, that impact helps because bone forms when it's under stress, right? So let's try to lift and lower this heel. I should have waited and told you that while we were holding for 5 minutes, right? So just sort of lifting and lowering and just noticing what that looks like, what that feels like as you lift up. Again, you don't have to lift really far. It's not a question of I've got to get my heel way up here. It's just where do I feel that, right? And you can have your hands here to support your back. I did forget to cue you that your belly should be nice and strong. And then the next time you lift, kind of hold here. Good. Yeah, so really squeeze these muscles here, nice and strong. So just kind of going back to bones. Bones require stress in order to be strong, right? If we don't stress our bones, they don't get the message that they have to make new bone material. So they say, oh, we only need this much, so let's conserve. Because our bodies, by the way, one of the big things that our brains kind of instruct our bodies to do is conserve as much energy as possible, which is good from a survival perspective, but it's bad in our society where we have so many things that do jobs for us, we lose our ability to do those jobs. So stressing your bones is important. Okay, where were we? Yeah. We were waiting to go down. Yeah, I think we got like another hold or so. Anybody on fire now? Yeah, you got a little fire, got a little shaking going on there? It's time to count. Good. All right, let's count to 5 then. Let's do 5, 4, 3. You can start lowering down. 2 and 1. Good. Bend that knee. Put out the fire on that side. How we doing? Good. Yeah. Lots going on there, right? So feeling your thighs, important for your knees, and knees so important for mobility, you guys, so important for mobility. Let's give the lower body a little rest. We're going to come up and work the wrists, right? So circle your wrists a little bit here. All right. Oh, what does that feel like this morning? Circle in a couple of directions. Maybe try a figure 8 with your wrists. That's kind of fun. Yeah, now I'm hearing music, right? Good. Snap, crackle, pop. And then take your hands and extend your hands out, kind of flat to the floor. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just move the wrists sideways. I'm going to hold my hands like this so you can see, but keep them up here. Move the wrists, the hands sideways, using the wrist to the right and then to the left. To the right and to the left. So it's just at the wrists. Y'all got that? So we're just going back and forth, right? Like a little windshield wipery thing. Now notice if it feels like you have a little more range in one wrist than the other, one hand than the other. Yeah. Okay. And then kind of coming back to center, now go out with both and in with both. Out and in. And if it's easier to have your elbows bent, you can do that as well. So whatever feels more comfortable for you. If this feels like a strain for your neck to have your hands out here, just bring them in. So this is about the wrists. Okay. And then we're going to bring the heels of the hands down and the fingers up, right? And then the palms or the fingers down. So going up and down. So we're exploring all these different ranges of movement, right? So the wrists have some pretty good movement here. A lot like the ankles. A lot like the ankles. So the anatomy is not quite the same, but it's pretty darn close. Your ankle joint has like one major bone that your two leg bones come down and sit on top of because you bear all your weight on it. You don't bear weight on your hands, for those of you who are not hand walkers. So you don't need that kind of structure in your wrist. So let's kind of shake out the hands a little bit here. Good. All right, so shifting down to the hips. So we're going to get to the hips. We're going to scoot over to the right side of the chair. Okay, feel that right hip. So your hip is three-dimensional, right? So you have the outside of your hip here, right? You have the front of your hip here, kind of groin area. You have the back of your hip where your buttocks are, and then into where your sacrum is. So just kind of feel around your whole hip. Just kind of feel around. That's your whole hip, right? You'll know what that feels like. All right. So the hip has some really amazing ability to move in a bunch of different directions as well. It's a little more stable. Well, it's a lot more stable than your shoulder because your weight is carried on your hip. So we've already done some kind of in and out with the ankle, and we brought the hips out. But now we're just going to lift and lower. So we're going to lift up, go out to the side, lower down, and slide it back. Right? So we're going to lift up, out to the side, lower down, and slide back. Okay, let's pause for a moment. So we're lifting with the hip, and we're going to try and keep the upper body from moving a lot to compensate, right? So there's a balance thing that happens. So if you want to get yourself really situated on your chair so you feel like you have good balance, maybe hold on to your chair on that left side with your hand a little bit, and then you're going to lift up that knee. Now notice, does that have an impact on your body? If it doesn't, good. And then we're going to come out to the side, down, and slide. Good. Perfect. So nice and slow. Notice that might be a little bit challenging, right? Especially if you have a little bit of arthritis in your hip. Anybody have a little bit of arthritis? No? That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. They're all gone with the new hips. Yeah. It's all gone. Presto. Okay, one more time. Up, out, down, and in. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to slide the foot out, come up, and back around. So we're just doing that little square thing the opposite way. So go nice and slow, right? And as you're doing this, as you bring your knee out to the side, see if you can really angle it from the hip. Come up and in and down. Good. One more time. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to take the heel and the toes and we're going to walk the foot out. I'm going to ask you to walk your foot as far away from your body as it can get. So for me, I got to scoot over on the side of my chair a little bit more because I'm a little shorter and this kind of cuts me in the leg a little bit. So we're bringing that foot as far away as we can. Get the big toe facing that wall if you can. Now, some folks are going to have their foot on the floor, and some folks are just going to be kind of reaching in that direction, and that's okay. So you don't have to have your big toes, you don't have to have your foot completely on the floor, just kind of reaching in that direction. Okay, so as you're reaching in that direction, I'm going to have you lean into the left side a little bit. Keep reaching through your right big toe, right? And then come back up. Can you feel a little stretch in that right side? Good. So we're just going to do this a few times. Keep reaching out through the leg. Don't let your leg relax, okay? Have the leg muscles really strong here. If you want to add a little more intensity to this, you can bring your arm up overhead, right? And really stretch. So that'll take the stretch from the toe to the hip, and then from the hip through the waist up to that shoulder. So let's breathe as we do this. Breathing in and breathing out. or breathing out and breathing in. So it's okay to do one or the other, right? There's no one way that you have to do this. How about we do this 2 more times? So reach, reach. And on this second reach, I'm going to ask you to hold and breathe. And bring your pointer finger as far away from your big toe as it'll go. So reach through your pointer finger, reach through your big toe, get as long as you can through that side of your body. If you're dealing with a shoulder issue and your arm only comes up to here, that's okay. So breathe in, breathe out. Might be a little hard to breathe right now. And then come all the way back up. Excellent. Let's bend that knee a little bit and walk the foot in so that it comes directly underneath the knee. Got that? So we still got that leg out to the side. And bring the foot and the leg back to that back wall as far as it'll go. Right? Good. Okay. So keep the knee over the ankle. And then we're going to pull that knee toward the back wall. So you're engaging muscles here in the side of the hip. Y'all got that? Yep. It should be a little uncomfortable, right? Good. Perfect. Let that knee come forward. Whew. Give it a little rest. And then pull the knee back. And let it come forward. So a couple more times, just pulling the knee back and then coming forward. So we're working muscles in the side of the hip now, and the back of the hip. So in order for your hip joint to be strong, you need to have strong and, I'm going to say, resilient muscles. So they need to be strong and flexible on all sides, right? So we need to work all sides of that. So if you just stand and do leg lifts out to the side or something like that, or you lie on your side and you just do leg lifts in one direction, you're only strengthening those muscles. How about 2 more? Good. And these ones are hard. These can be really hard to do. Good. And then let's use the heel and the toes. Walk that foot in. Let's scoot to the center of the chair. And when you get to the center of your chair, I'm going to ask you to hold on and then extend both legs and point your toes. Let your toes come right down to the floor if they can and crawl your toes out. Notice if your right leg is longer than your left leg. Isn't that interesting, right? So for some of us, it's going to be a lot longer. For some of us, not so much longer. So let's get even. We're going to come over to the other side of the chair. So left hip is kind of right on the edge there. And if you want, kind of hold on to the chair on this side. So again, just thinking about your body, keeping your body upright. We're going to lift that left leg up, sweep it out to the side, bring it down, and then slide it back in. So that's the whole movement, right? So being mindful that you're not using your body as leverage, right? So when you're lifting with the balance here, we want to keep the body upright. We're asking the leg to do some work, and we're actually asking the core to do some work. So y'all know what your core is? Yeah, sort of. People think of the core as like that 6-pack abs, right? So your transversus abdominis. So it's not just the muscles here in the front of your belly, but it's the muscles in the side of your waist. It's the muscles of your back. And even more importantly, your core requires your pelvic floor muscles to be strong. So think of your core as a container, right? So if you had a container and it had really strong sides and the bottom was kind of loose and floppy, you couldn't put anything in that container and have it hold. So you need the bottom of the container to be just as supportive as the sides of the container. Okay, how are we doing? Is your leg going to fall off? Yeah, so the next time you bring that foot in, now we're going to slide out, come up, and back over, right? So nice and slow. And again, think about that pelvic floor. So if you pull your navel in a little bit. Good. Excellent. So we'll do a couple more of these. Sliding out. Good. How about one more? Excellent. Okay. So now we're going to take that foot, kind of slide or swivel it way out. Get your toes as far away from your body as they can go. You can scoot out a little farther on your chair or scoot into your chair, whatever your body needs, right? We're trying to get that big toe as far away from your hip as it'll go, right? Toes can be on the floor if that works, or toes are lifted. You're just kind of going in that direction. So now we're just going to start by leaning to the right, getting a little stretch. You should be feeling it in through the hip and in through the leg a little bit here. So just leaning a little bit to the right side. Good. If you want to add a little more intensity to this at any time, you can take your arm up overhead as you lean, and we're going to breathe. So breathing in as we lean and breathing out as we come back, or breathing out as we lean and breathing in as we come back. So it really doesn't matter at what point you're breathing in and breathing out, as long as your breath stays kind of round and smooth and supportive of the movement, right? So all your brain knows is if the breath is smooth and I'm not laboring to breathe, then the physical exertion that I'm doing is appropriate. I can handle this. If it's really hard, and there are times when you want to have your breathing be a little bit difficult, but if it's really hard, then the brain is saying, wow, that's quite a challenge there. So the next time you're over, whenever that is, just kind of hold here. Take your pointer finger, reach it as far away from your big toe as you can, and take your big toe and reach it as far away from your pointer finger as you can. So hopefully you're feeling this in the side of your waist, in your belly, in your shoulder, your underarm, down to your big toe, maybe in your face, in your neck. Yeah, good. One more breath in and out. And then come all the way back up. Excellent. Whew. Let's bend that knee a little bit. Use your heel and toes and walk your heel so that it's underneath your knee. And then keeping the heel under the knee, we're going to walk that foot back a little bit more. So you want a little bit of a challenge. Remember what I said about the 3 dimensions of the hip, right? So we've got this inner dimension. Quite often, the inner dimension into the inner thigh, those muscles are very tight. They tighten they get extra tight when we sit a lot. So having this stretch here can be quite a challenge for a lot of folks. So now what we're going to do is engage muscles here in the back of the hip, pull your knee toward the back wall, and then relax it. So we're just going to keep doing this. So pull the knee toward the back wall and relax, right? So the muscles that we're engaging when we pull the knee toward the back wall, those muscles work in opposition to your inner thigh muscles. So in other words, when I'm engaging these muscles and pulling the knee toward the back wall, the muscles in the inner thigh have no option but to stretch and let go. So the more strength I have in pulling that knee toward the back wall, the more stretch I might be feeling here. Now some of you are probably saying, I don't feel anything in the inner thigh. I'm feeling it all in my butt and in the side of my leg and the side of my hip. And that's okay too, because those are the muscles that are actively engaging, right? Muscles can only do one thing actively: shorten. Muscles can't lengthen actively. That's a passive thing. We have to lengthen our muscles by using the muscles on the other side of the bone. That might not make a whole lot of sense, but I'll go into that a little bit. Good. Okay, so one more time, we're going to pull that knee back and hold and breathe. Ooh. All right, and then we're going to let that go. And then using your heel and toes, walk around. We're going to come back to the center of the chair. Let your hands rest on your lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Oh, first we got to check leg length. Sorry. So extend your legs. Yeah, let's check. Make sure. Okay, is everybody even? Is anybody longer on the left? Okay, so you got to go back and do the whole thing on the right side again. The rest of us are going to move on, though. Okay, so now just close your eyes for a moment. Take a breath in and out. Notice what you're feeling. So from your toes, which we didn't work yet, but from your feet all the way up to your hips, from your hands all the way to your shoulders, feel all the things that we've worked so far. And then let your eyes gently open. All right. So we're going to take the right leg and extend it out. Okay. So you don't have to really tighten the muscles here in the leg, but try and keep your leg as straight as you can. Then we're going to take the right hand and kind of extend it out. So your right toes and your right fingers, imagine they're like a marionette, right? And they're connected with strings from your fingers. So we're just going to squeeze the toes and the fingers and extend the toes and fingers, right? Got that? pretty easy, right? So we're looking, you might look at your foot. Okay, I'm squeezing my toes, I'm squeezing my fingers. I'm extending my toes, I'm extending my fingers, right? So you can even put them like close to one another or visually, right? So visually I'm looking down, I'm seeing my toes and my fingers extending and bending. Okay. And then let's release that. We're going to go the other side. So same thing, extend your other leg, whatever it is, left. Yes, left. And your left hand, left arm, right? So right now I have in my visual line of sight, I can see my toes beyond my fingers. So we're going to squeeze and extend, right? So fingers and toes doing the same thing. And if it's easier for you to have them not in the same line of sight, that's okay too. So we're just trying to get that connection between the fingers and the toes. That's going okay? We're breathing okay? Excellent. Okay, 2 more. Good. And then let's bend that knee and go back to kind of that central. Okay, so now keeping your feet on the floor, so with your knees bent, we're going to shift back to that right side again, right? So the right side, keep your right hand on your leg. Your left hand can do whatever it wants. Your right hand is going to be on your leg. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lift the big toe and the thumb. And keep everything else, other toes on the floor, other fingers on your lap. Got it? And then lower down. So it's just the thumb and the big toe. Thumb and big toe, lifting and lowering. How's that all going? Yeah. Are they talking to each other? No. They're not having a good conversation out there. Yours is busy. The line is busy? The line's busy. No call waiting there. Okay. And then everything comes down, so toes and fingers are down on the floor, yeah? Okay, so we're going to keep the big toe down, keep the thumb down, raise just all your other toes and your other fingers, and lower down. Oh. Okay, you got that? So we're keeping the big toe down and the thumb down, and we're raising all of the little toes and all of the fingers. And nobody's breathing. So you're going to take a breath, because how often do you do this? Like never? We're doing okay, right? Yeah. No. Yes and no. Those are good answers. They're valid. All right. Let's see if we have better luck on the other side. So on the right, left side now, have your left hand on your leg or on your lap, right? And so remember, it's like a marionette, right? So your thumb and your big toe go together. So we're going to lift the thumb and lift the big toe and then lower down. Lift the thumb and lift the big toe and lower down. The other toes are on the floor. The other fingers stay on your lap. And breathe as you're doing this. So the thumb and big toe, by the way, they have their own name, like their own names. Your other digits don't really have names. So your thumb is your pollicis, and your big toe is your hallucis. And all your others, they say, oh, those are just phalanges. Those are just digits, right? So they're kind of special because they have their own names. Okay, so lowering back down. So now we're going to keep the thumb and the big toe down, and we're going to lift all the little toes and all the fingers. All the little toes, all the fingers. So it's just your left hand now, right? So your right hand might be trying to instruct. Do you find your right hand trying to instruct everybody? Yeah. It's funny how that happens, right? Good, and you're really concentrating and breathing. Okay. And then lower back down. Take a moment, breathe, relax all the tension that you just created in your shoulders and your neck, right? Okay. All right, so one more of these kind of coordination things that we're going to do here. So taking your right hand on your leg or on your lap, I want you to press your thumb into your leg, press your baby finger into your leg, and lift all 3 of the other fingers. Or if you have more, lift them all, right? And then lower down. Okay, so again, thumb is on the pressing into your lap, little finger is pressing into your lap, and you're going to lift all the other fingers, right? And that's just the right side. So just lifting and lowering. How's that going? Good. Yeah, not bad, right? Yeah, not bad. Because you do these kinds of movements with your hands. Okay, so now that you got your hand kind of going in that direction, let's see if we can do the marionette on the foot. So press down into your big toe and your little toe and lift all your middle toes. At the same time, you're doing it with your hand. Ah, see if that's helpful. Instructive. Frustrating. Yeah, all of those things, right? So we're lifting and lowering. We're doing okay? We're doing great. The hand is fabulous, right? Fabulous. That baby toe, yeah, it's like, count me in. All right, relax all that. Whew. Okay, relax your shoulders. Notice if your jaw is clenched. Let's try that on the left side. So just the hand to start. So hand on the lap. Press your thumb into your leg, press your baby finger into your leg, and then lift all the other fingers. Just lift and lower. Lift and lower. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe it's easy, maybe it's a little challenging on this side. So again, just noticing one side can be very different than the other side, right? Okay, so now that we've kind of in the groove here with the hand, let's see if we can do the little marionette with the foot. So we're pressing the thumb and the big toe into the floor, thumb into the leg, and big toe into the floor. Baby finger into your lap and last toe into the floor. And then we're lifting all the middle toes and all the middle fingers. Not the middle fingers, not the swear fingers, but all the middle fingers, right? All the ones in between. So lifting and lowering, breathing if you can. Notice if it's easier or more challenging on this side. More challenging? Yeah, easier, just as hard. No difference. It stinks on both sides. I got it. Okay, relax that. Whew. Okay, relax your body a little bit. How we doing? Yeah, great. Because we have no more hands or feet, right? I know. But we do have one more thing we can do, just for fun. So take your right leg, extend it out, and we're going to squeeze and extend the right toes. But now instead of doing a marionette on the right side, we're going to use the left hand. Okay? So same thing. This is just the squeezing and extending. I will not torture you with the toe thing today, maybe in the future. So we're going to squeeze and extend the left hand, the right hand, the left hand, and the right foot. Got it? Easy, right? Yeah. Super easy. Can you go a little faster? Okay. Excellent. You guys got this. Okay. Put your foot on the floor, your hand on your lap, extend your other leg. Same thing. Just cross the body, right? So we're doing left toes, right hand, right? Got it? So we're squeezing and extending, squeezing and extending. We can go a little faster, right? Oh, everybody's got this. Okay, good. You breathing? No? Can't do that too, right? That's too many asks. Too many asks. Okay, we got that. So put that foot on the floor. Everybody's feeling good about that, right? Okay, let's extend both legs. Okay, just make sure you're not so far on the front of your chair that you're going to slide off, so you might kind of scoot back a little bit. You can have your knees bent a little bit. How about we do that? Why don't we bend the knees a little bit? That way I'll feel like safe that nobody's going to fall off. Take your hands here. Okay, so now we're going to do cross body. We're going to do a right hand and left foot, right? The toes. Got it? And extend. Left fingers, right toes, and extend. Okay, I see everybody warming up back there. So we're going from side to side. So right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, right hand, left foot. Yeah. It's like driving a standard shift car, right? In traffic, in Boston, at rush hour, on a hill, with somebody screaming at you in the back, right? Yeah. So are you doing the opposites? You got that? Oh, you guys are doing great. Breathe in, breathe out. See if you can go a little faster. Come on, you got this. I know you do. Yeah. Back and forth, right? So a little bit of this. We're getting the brain very confused right now, and that's okay. That's the whole reason. So now squeeze everybody and extend everybody. Squeeze everybody, extend everybody. 2 more times. just to get everybody back on the same page. Okay. Whew. Yes, there's definitely a brain component to this, and especially anytime we move, anytime we do movements on opposite sides of the body, right? We're actually exercising the brain a little bit. Yeah, so we pull in everything all together here. Some of this can be really frustrating, but the more you practice it, the easier it will get, because your brain offloads things that are easy to sort of, what do I want to say? You don't have to think about it a lot, right? So the things you don't have to think about, putting the key in the front door and turning the lock, do you think about that? No, your body just does it because you've done it how many hundreds or thousands of times since you've lived in your house. But if you tried doing it with the other hand, your brain really has to think about that, because it's not a pathway from it's not a neural pathway from your brain to your hand that's very common. So it's good to do those kinds of things to kind of challenge those neural pathways in your brain. Okay, so let's give our poor brains a little bit of a rest, because they're probably on fire after that. So if you want to close your eyes, let your hands rest on your lap. And just take a moment, just notice your body this morning. So we worked a whole bunch of stuff, right? So notice your toes and your fingers. They were just having a good old time together. And notice your feet and your hands, your wrists and your ankles. We worked all of those things. And we worked the elbows and the knees. And by working the elbows and the knees and the wrists and the ankles, we worked all the muscles in the lower legs and the lower arms, the forearms. We didn't even know about it. And then the upper arms and the thighs, right? We did a lot of work in the upper arms and the thighs and the shoulders and the hips. And by virtue of that, we got some movement in the lower part of the spine as well. And just notice now the quality of the contact between the bottoms of your feet and the floor. Your heels, the outer edges, the bottoms of the toes. Are you more sensitive with your feet right now? Can you feel more with your feet? Sometimes we think of sensitivity as a bad thing. You know, we have like tooth sensitivity or being overly sensitive. But I think being sensitive is super important to understanding our environment, to being resilient. I have to be sensitive to what I'm feeling in order to know how to proceed. And what about the sensitivity of your hands on your lap? Or if your hands are holding each other, just what do you feel in the palms of your hands? And then let's go back to the breath for a moment. Notice your breathing. Notice if your breathing feels more relaxed in general, or if it feels a little more lively than it did when you first sat down. Are you able to breathe in and out through your nose? And is that movement of air through your nostrils, is it equal between the right side and the left side? Or is it a little more restricted on one side or the other? And if you take a couple of full deep breaths, what does that feel like? Can you feel the air filling your lungs? Can you feel the expansion in your rib cage and your belly? Maybe the sides of your waist? As you breathe out, can you maintain that beautiful length in your spine and that relaxed feeling in your muscles? Take your hands up to your chest and just let your hands feel the movement of your rib cage underneath as you breathe in and out. And then take your hands together and just a moment to appreciate your body, to appreciate yourself, your wisdom, your willingness to try something new. and your ability to be here. And isn't that a wonderful thing after what we've all been through in the last 3 years? And then letting your eyes open, just sort of in appreciation for being in a group here today. Yeah. Excellent. Enjoy the rest of your day and your long weekend, and I'll see you all next week.